When one has predominantly undefined energy and or gates which amplify others' energy, how does one find, know, or identify one's own identity if it always feels so heavily influenced by others? How might it feel? What might it look like? What a great question. All right, so here's Trisha's chart. And of course, as you can see, there's a lot of whiteness in Trisha's chart. So whenever we have whiteness in a chart, this is what we call openness. Anything that's open in your chart is where you are taking energy and information in from the world around you. And that energy and information can come from other people around you. It can also come from changes or shifts in the planetary transit. So every week the sun and the earth move, and that influences the archetypes and the energies that we're working with. Other planets are constantly in movement. As the planets move, they are bringing us or highlighting for us different archetypal energies. And if you have a lot of openness in your chart, that planetary movement will also impact your energy. So when we look at a chart and we say, okay, if you have a lot of openness in your chart and you're constant, this is what Trish is asking, you're constantly receiving energy and information from everybody else, and you don't just receive energy and information in your openness, you actually receive it and you amplify it. Because you're experiencing these energies in an amplified way, it is very easy to feel like you're being hijacked by the energies around you, or for you to mistakenly identify with the energies that other people are bringing to you, because you're feeling it, you're sensing it, you're feeling it and sensing it in a big way, and it kind of takes over your system. You are not supposed to become other people's energies. Openness ultimately has the role of being wisdom. It's through our openness that we experience all the permutations and possibilities of these energy centers. So we look at Trisha's chart as an example. You'll see on the right-hand side of Trisha's chart, she has a white triangle, a big white triangle. It's just sort of underneath and over the little triangle kind of towards the middle. So that white triangle there is called actually, let me see if I can draw on it. I don't think I can draw on it in this format. That, if you can see my mouse, I'm circling it right here. That center is called the emotional solar plexus. So when somebody with a chart like Trisha's has that triangle colored white, so half of you should have this center white on your chart, that means you feel other people's emotional energies. You are empathic by design. So you are emotionally empathic. You sense and feel how other people feel. You take that in and you amplify it. A couple things happen with openness. Number one, wherever you have openness, there's a tendency to have predictable behavioral patterns based on your openness. So I know when I look at your chart, if you have the solar plexus, this center open in your chart, I know that dealing with conflict or even speaking your truth can sometimes be a problem for you, because people who have this energy center open tend to want to tiptoe around difficult conversations because you don't want to get blasted with somebody else's emotional energy. So there's a tendency when that center is open to sometimes not be authentic, to kind of hide yourself away because you don't want to experience the intensity of other people's emotional responses. The same is true for all the other centers. Wherever you have openness, there is a tendency to have a predictable behavioral pattern that maybe you've cultivated over time. Now, the question that Trish has is, well, how do you stay true to yourself when you're constantly being blasted by other people's energies? So the first answer, and actually this is part of your chart, Trish. If you look at Trisha's chart, you'll see she has the 2 right here. This is part of her profile. She has a 6-2 profile. The 2 energy there makes you a hermit. And one of the things I'm going to say is, if you have a lot of openness in your chart, you need a lot of alone time. You've got to have that alone time because it really helps you calibrate your energy so that you can get back into the integrity of your own energy system and your own design. The second thing is, each human design type, and Trish is a generator, each human design type has a decision-making strategy. The more you follow your decision-making strategy according to your type, the more you also start to make decisions that bring you back into alignment with your authentic needs, your authentic wants and desires. And this is the other part that's a little bit more advanced, but kind of cool and really powerful to think about. The experience of other people's energies in your own energy field is actually part of who you are. We have a tendency to talk about human design as if we are the stuff that's colored in and everything else is like adjunct, junk in our chart, right? It's not us. I'm going to say that you are your openness, the wisdom and the malleability and the fluidity of what you experience in the rest of your being is actually part of who you are. So I look at this chart and I say, okay, first of all, here we have somebody who is here to respond to opportunities to make different, unique, and powerful choices in the world. And ultimately, the work of the world that this person does, that Trish does, is about changing the world, changing the nature of how we do abundance in the world. In fact, I would say, Trish, you are a revolutionary agent around the idea of creating abundance in the world. For you to become the most exalted expression of that energy, it's in the experience of all the openness that you have, the way you understand what inspires people, the way you understand how people think, the way you understand how people speak, and how you are able to change the way you speak to best meet the needs of other people, the way you get people's sense of values, the way you understand their emotional energy, the way you get what drives them, the way you understand the nature of what keeps them safe and how they tap into their courage. All of this information is information you master in your openness. And that mastery ultimately helps you become the fuller expression of the defined, more consistent or fixed parts of your chart.